My wife's story. We live in a closed society, in which many women suffer from deprivation of many freedoms, but I studied abroad and I know that women have the right to learn and work like men, so I did not deprive my wife of her right to study and work. From the first day of our marriage, I told her that I support all her choices in life and I don't mind her working or learning. She was amazed and told me that what I told her restored life and hope in her, as she was afraid that I would refuse to work. To feel proud of her, and to push her forward in the first place. Finally, my wife's success is part of my success. My wife started working in one of the government departments. I was very happy with her, and I was more pleased with her decision to go to higher studies. She was in the first months of her pregnancy and I did not want to make her uncomfortable, so I asked a maid to do the housework so that my wife could devote herself to studying and resting only. After giving birth, my mother came to the house to take care of my child. In fact, there is a friendship that my wife and my mother were able to establish, which made the atmosphere in the house comfortable and calm. My wife was also able to complete her master's and doctoral degrees, and my mother was with us when we had our second son. Years passed and my wife became a high-ranking employee, headed by about 50 employees, and it was interesting and impressive, as she is the youngest employee to hold such a position, and our children at that time were in their teens and she was busy all the time. Sometimes she would carry work papers and responsibilities with her to the house and work on them until midnight. She endured and was patient and tried to hint to her that her house had a right over her, but she ignored what I said and did. It became more difficult when the boys began to rebel, the normal teenage rebellion. And she was ignoring the children and not giving them any kind of attention, and I always drew her attention to warn them to stay away from her at that particular stage, but she was preoccupied with her work, orders, and employees, and she was giving orders and imagining that they would be implemented without discussion or rebellion. The forbidden happened and our eldest child became addicted. I left everything and devoted myself to my children, taking care of them and trying to adjust the path. I helped my son survive the disaster he fell into, and I was able to save my son, and I tried to be friends with both of my sons, but she was not here all the time. She is at work with her circle of acquaintances. She only cares about the progress of her workday. I could not bear this situation any longer, and life between us became impossible. Those around me advised me to demand that she quit her job, or else I would threaten her with divorce or marrying her, but I did not want her to quit. All I wanted was for her to balance work and home. I decided to punish her. I asked my children and my mother, who lives with us and raises the children, to prepare themselves for a long trip. Indeed, I took them and we headed to a neighboring governorate. I did not tell them that it was a punishment, but I asked that they give me their phones so that they could enjoy the trip. The day passed until the middle of it, and it was time for my wife to return to home. I found her calling over 20 times, no one answered, so she called more and more insistently. After 2 days, I decided to answer my phone. Her voice was full of crying, she was anxious and tense. I asked her to calm down and be reassured. After that I told her that I decided to move away with my mother and the children so that she would feel our presence and that our return depends on her. I told her that I do not want her to do something she does not want. All I want is it is the best thing. I want the middle ground between work and home. 2 full days without talking, after which my wife called and asked to know our whereabouts. I told her, and after 2 hours I found her in front of me, as beautiful as I know her. She told me that she regretted leaving us all this time. She regretted missing all the years. She asked me to forgive her and to go back again to our former happiness.